Welcome to the Street Hockey Life podcast. I'm joined today by Alexis Tarantino and Kate Vandruff, and I'm very excited to talk to these individuals about a project that they're going to be working on. It's right kind of in its infancy, right, Alexis? Is that with
Hmm.
this rink development? So, welcome back, people. It's good to be chatting with these individuals. Like I said, I'm very excited because it's right up our alley when it comes to rink development. So, but anyway, welcome. If you guys don't mind, just kind of share a little bit about who you are, where you live, anything you want to tell us. Alexis, we can
You
start
know,
with you.
let you go. Oh, you start with me. Okay. My name's Alexis. I play hockey. I'm pretty involved with ball hockey. Um, I run tournaments for UWs, and we've been trying to get more local engagement, especially in like the novice and C level, bringing women into the sport. So Kate and I have been on this mission to save a hockey rink that is close by and dear to our heart, and I will let her jump in from there.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you. So my name's Kate Van Druff. I live in Gilbertsville. I'm actually a hockey mom who turned into a player because my daughter plays. I realized I was on the wrong side of the boards. And I used to organize pickup games for the kids at this park. And some of the coaches would say, "Hey, Kate, why don't you come out here and play too?" And that's when I met Alexis, and she told me about the NBHL. So last year was my first season actually playing competitive hockey. I'm a former rugby girl, cross country runner. Used to play roller just with friends in a parking lot, nothing organized. So hockey just kind of took me by storm, and I fell in love with the sport. And I guess there's a long story, really, how we got where we are, but I'll give you the short version. So I went with Alexis to the UW's Oktoberfest tournament this past October. So inspired by all the women and girls playing in that tournament and just the energy there. Came home thinking there's so many more moms like me and just women in general who need hockey in their lives and don't even know it yet. And decided to start a women's pickup group right there, including kids. And then I found out the hockey dads want to play too. The guys in the town want to play too. Reached out to the township, realizing we only had one net at the park, and the park is in some state of well-worn disrepair, needs some fixes for sure. But I thought, well, hey, if I can donate a net, maybe somebody from the township with a truck could pick it up. We found out on a Friday night about 10:30, I got an email back from the township manager saying, "Well, your email comes at an interesting time. I'm glad you reached out. We're actually in discussion to turn the deck into pickleball." And my heart sank, and I texted Alexis immediately, and she sprung into action, helped me from the very beginning with a petition to save the hockey deck. And we showed up to the meeting. The really ironic and coincidental, beautifully poetic thing is our first pickup with all the women was scheduled already before we found out about this. And it was on the same exact day as the township rec meeting to discuss the pickleball. So it was like the stars aligned. The hockey families all showed up and filled the room, the boardroom, and we had a goalie in full gear, kids in helmets, kids with sticks. Kids got up to speak, including my daughter and her friend, Lily, and the news loved it. And the township managers, the township manager and the board members took it pretty kindly that people cared so much. We were invited back. I received a letter. The girls were invited back. Sorry, I lost my light here. Invited back to, sorry about that, to try to get the girls to give some more feedback on what they'd like to do with the rink. And so we just, I think on January 24th, and now they've been invited to come to the next round, which will be to present before the full board members on March 7th.
March 7th. Interesting. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, is there a big pickleball community where you guys live, and that there's a group of people that were advocating specifically to take the spot over, or was this just a decision made by the township?
Yeah, the township manager said that he had gotten some feedback from the community that they wanted some more activities for older adults, ways people can get active. So he thought, pickleball is pretty popular. Why don't we try that? It's relatively inexpensive to repurpose something. And they thought the hockey deck wasn't really being used. So they figured that would be a good spot to put it. But we found out, I mean, we went into this thing like it was a court case, We found out there's
Love it.
20 pickleball courts within a 15-minute drive of this rink. So we're telling them, it's over an hour to the next rink that has free access. And so they weren't really trying to take away our rink. It was just a community suggestion. And once they heard about the rink, they were very supportive about helping us make sure it's safe and still usable for the people that want to use it.
So is this spot an actual rink, boards, or is it more like a tennis court? Because sorry, I haven't seen a picture of it, so I'm not really familiar.
This rink is a paved rink with a chain link fence as the boards. It has a little bit of wood at the bottom, but the ball still rolls out under due to the age and condition. And the corners also are not rounded due to the construction of it. The gate also swings inward and outward, which is dangerous. So that's one of the other issues. It doesn't have your traditional boards, your traditional benches, penalty box, or gates, anything like that. So
Got it. Now, do you guys in this area, what's the township called again?
New Hanover Township.
New Hanover. Is there a ball hockey or a deck hockey program that functions out of this area, or are there ball hockey programs around the surrounding area?
Yes.
Nearby. Alexis, go ahead.
Yeah. So the tournament team that I coached for the last few years, there's a tournament circuit in New Jersey, which outside of state teams are welcome to come to. But there's a pretty large circuit in New Jersey alone. They have, 15 or more rinks. So our rinks, we have about 3 within a 45-minute drive of each other out where we are. So we're about 45 minutes west from Philly. The closest New Jersey rink is about half an hour east from Philly, over the bridge into New Jersey. So we're kind of on an island where there's a lot of hockey interest. There's just not a lot of hockey going on.
Okay.
So this is one of the parks that, the kids would play pickup at, practice at. There's a rink about half an hour away that's in a community park, but those
Okay.
are the only 2 free access parks within, I would say, over an hour and a half of us.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
I'll add, there are a few different programs that do go on in our area. We have the PAL, Pottstown PAL Recreation League, and they play out of West Pottsgrove Elementary, but it is a school property, so that's always gated and locked. And there's a travel team, Pottstown Jesters, but they don't currently have a home for their team to practice at, so they're going to Reading to play there, which I think is also locked when no one's using it, and it's also kind of far for a lot of the kids in our area.
Okay. How big is this township that you guys live in? Do you guys know the number of people that live in the town, or
I don't, but I would say a lot. I mean, it's a pretty affluent area.
affluent area? Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
not like farms. Like I live an hour west towards Lancaster, like Amish country, and stuff is a lot more spread out by me. Gilbertsville is actually being built up a lot over the last 15 years, I'd say, where they're, close enough to the city that people are moving towards, nicer, more spread out areas without being so close to the city. So it's pretty
Okay.
populated.
So is Gilbertsville more closer to Philadelphia than is my geography right? Terrible at geography, by the way, guys. So
Yeah, so Pittsburgh's like 4 hours west of
okay.
Lancaster. So Gilbertsville is about 45 minutes east for me, and then another 45 minutes to Philly. So it's
Okay.
considered, greater Philadelphia area.
Greater
It's
Philadelphia.
next county over.
Okay. So but Philadelphia has put some money, the Philadelphia Flyers specifically have put some money into like the other townships on the New Jersey side. Is that accurate?
I
If you
don't
guys know?
know the accuracy of that. I do know that the Flyers have a grant program where they will give $100,000 a year to, rinks either in dish repair or building rinks. They've just built one in Kensington, and I know that in November they just pledged more money to a rink in Ridley, which is about 20 minutes to half an hour from Philadelphia. Someone that's local in our ball hockey community does run that rink. And they just started, taking apart boards to help them expand their rink. So on the Philly side, I know they're helping. I don't know about New Jersey side.
Okay, on the Philly side, I've just for some reason I've seen rinks, and I could be on the NBHL side. I've seen the Flyers being proud sponsor
Right.
on some of their boards, and I cannot tell you for the life of me if it's what rinks I've seen, but
I know which
very
rinks they
interesting.
are, but I don't know if they've, put that money in there or done clinics there, and that's why they have, sponsorships there. I'm not sure.
So,
But yeah, GT does have, boards and scoreboards that say Philadelphia Flyers. And I know that they've at least held clinics there. They might have helped do more at those rinks. I'm just not sure.
that's okay. So this sounds like you guys were put into a very interesting position where all of a sudden, pickleball is coming in. I can share a experience about a pickleball meeting that I was a part of in my rink, in our rink development. When we were going through the fundraising process, I was reached out by a couple that lives in my hometown of Gloucester, Mass, by the way. I can't say Gloucester because there's a Gloucester, New Jersey,
Yeah.
very, very popular
Yeah.
ball hockey, so I have to be careful. Um, and it was a husband and a wife. And in Gloucester, there's more than this. There's two main tennis courts. One is right on the water. It's beautiful. It's right up. We have a boulevard that it's right on the ocean. And actually, if you're standing in our rink, you can look down and see this tennis court. It's beautiful. That's a public. There's only two courts, but anybody can use that at any point. They actually redid it. It looks beautiful down there. And then the Gloucester High School, they just had their tennis courts redone. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these people were getting upset that there was no place to play pickleball. So both places don't. I don't want to say. I'm not entirely sure if the Gloucester High School courts allow pickleball. I'm not sure because they've been redone, but I know that the one on our boulevard does not allow pickleball. And so this couple had called me, and they were saying to me, what they had seen is in a town about 35 minutes from where we live, or where our rink is, there was a kind of what you're describing, Kate. It's kind of similar. It's like a fenced in area. It's asphalt or it's asphalt, hot top, if whatever one you call it.
Mhm.
It has lines of a rink on it. Come to find out, people are using it more for pickleball than they're using it for street hockey. So this person was thinking that when we were building this rink, that's what we were going to have. We were going to have a rink with asphalt, and then you could just go there and put a net down and play pickleball. And through the course of the meeting, they realized pretty quickly that we were not a good fit because the surface we have, most people will know when you play on a deck, that the ball does bounce. But we realized that it probably wasn't going to be a good fit based on the amount of utility that our program was going to be using it. So that meeting kind of went a little bit off in a direction that it ended up being them getting frustrated with why the city wouldn't build pickleball courts. And I said, I don't have an answer for you that. All I know is that you might want to bring this to the city, and you're going to have to need to raise money if you want to do this project. So, but pickleballs, it's a people, when I talk to pickleball people, they're like, it's the fastest growing sport. I'm like, that's great. I don't know what else to say about it other than keep doing it. I'm always a big believer that if you want to be the solution, not the problem. You want to, there's a lot of people that, just they're not going to take an initiative. They're just going to complain about it. But I was like, I even was willing. I'm like, I'll help you get started. But you know what I mean? We got to finish this rink. So, pickleball, like I said, I've never played it, so I can't really describe it. But so right now, it sounds like you're at the beginning of this process. Ideally, I guess my question is how many hockey players are in this area? Is there any ice hockey where you live, Kate? What's that like? And Alexis,
Yes,
chime in on this as well.
sure. My daughter actually plays for Boyertown Bears Ice Hockey Club, which is the scholastic team for our school district. I know there's a whole bunch of others, Perkiomen Valley. Um, some of the names escape me, but we play down in the main line area. We play at Westchester Ice Line, and we've played at the campus, and I think that's Downingtown. So there's quite a bit of ice hockey going on as well. And in fact, we're actually pretty close with some of the leaders in the Boyertown Bears that have even come out to support our initiative at previous meetings. So we're very grateful for those partnerships.
Excellent. Do those ice hockey teams utilize that specific space? or not really?
Yes, great question. We actually had the coach of her ice hockey team and his kids there tonight with us playing pickup before this meeting.
Nice.
It was great.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Do you think it's, I mean, is Pennsylvania primarily more of a ball hockey area, or is it ice king like it is here in Massachusetts?
I mean, ball hockey is a small sport in general. So, I mean, Massachusetts in the Northeast is going to be huge for ice hockey. I feel like the farther north you go, the more ice hockey you'll find. But there's definitely ice hockey here. I mean, we've got probably 10 organizations in a like local Philly league for ice hockey for women. There's plenty of pickup groups. There's plenty of kids programs. I mean, the Junior Flyers being one of them.
Heard of
Uh,
the Flyers?
but there's ice hockey programs with schools and club teams, you know. There's plenty of ice hockey programs for kids around here.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a need for this facility anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the only two free parks that we have left. We had Phoenixville closed down in the last few years, and that was there since the early 90s. Lancaster was just demolished. That was there since 74. There's been a couple rinks in the, you know, Downingtown. Well, I'm sorry, I'm telling you these towns like you're from here.
That's okay.
Within a 2-hour drive, we've probably seen about 4 rinks close in the last 10 years.
Okay.
And not any new ones open. I mean, Reading was just fixed up. They put a deck tile surface down. They're like a city about an hour west of Philly.
Okay.
But besides that, not much has been popping up.
What was the rink where the North Americans were hosted and Jason Kelly had the cool hockey events that's no longer there? What town was that again, Alexis? I've been
That
there.
was Feasterville,
Easterville.
near the city, yeah. So that was in the northeast of Philly, and that was, you know, a 2 to 3 rink facility for a couple of decades. I mean, then they shuffled one rink around to use one side as like, you know, trailer storage. And then they finally closed it down about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
What are they using for it now? Do you know?
What are
What's
they
the
using that building for?
Yeah,
I think it's storage for like shipping
it's
containers.
storage. Okay.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
warehousing, you know, but one
Yeah.
of those.
So I can relate to this, and this is something that I thought a lot about when saw this. So basically, Kate, what happened is when Alexis,
Mhm.
I met Alexis obviously at Oktoberfest last year when my wife and we brought down our North Shore Raiders down there. It was a wonderful event, loved it. We're going to be going to Springfest. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yep.
And because that's coming up. Um, and we became Facebook friends. And then next thing you know, I see this sign this petition item. So I, of course, took the initiative, and both Aaron and I signed it. You know, we didn't really know much about what was going on. But what I can show you from my perspective up here in the Northeast of being from Massachusetts is if you look at our state, I've said this on multiple podcasts. Ice hockey is king, right? It's very popular here in Massachusetts. Um, where I am in Gloucester, it's kind of tucked 30 miles northeast on the ocean away from Boston. And if you start driving inland, then you'll come to the mecca of all street hockey, which is Leominster, and then Fitchburg is right there. And then if you drive south, where Alexis hosts where you guys went for Tiverton, right across the border is South Coast Ball Hockey, run by Eddie Costa. And we're trying to get on the level of those 3 organizations as the big ball hockey community. And then I guess you could throw Athol in there, which is a little bit out past, in Milik, of course. How can I forget that group? But from Leominster to Gloucester, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away. And on where I grew up, ball hockey never existed. It's when you go to Gloucester, you see this rink that we put in. It's brand new. The concept of it, I mean, I kid you guys not. When 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 the rink was being installed and we were putting the surface down, I had a little old lady go by the fence and say, "Is this a pool? Is this a pool?" I, said, I said, I hope not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the questions always become is, can you flood it in the winter so we can skate on it? And can you rollerblade on it? Can you roller skate? And when I went through the process, when we went through the process of building the rink, we promoted as yes, you could roller skate, you could rollerblade, but that's become a little bit of a challenge right now based on city rules and surface challenges and things like this. But what I'm trying to say is that this area it's brand spanking new. People don't know about UWs. They don't know about our U.S. national teams going to Slovakia. They don't know anything about this. And when Alexis had messaged me, she was telling me about the amount of it's kind of discouraged the amount of rinks that have closed. In an area that I currently live in, Chelmsford, Lowell, these areas that you guys probably never heard of,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a big popular unless have you been to Drake and Alexis where the old that
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah.
that one
George is good friends with Casey, who
with
owns
Casey. There you
Drink
go.
It. Yeah.
Okay, so in that situation, that was the last indoor facility in Lowell and Chelmsford, that area. They used to have an outdoor rink that moved up to Hooksett, New Hampshire, which Mad Hockey plays out of, the Whip Ashley Fadula and that group. And but this area doesn't have a lot of indoor facilities. And like Alexis said when we talked at Oktoberfest, it was you got to drive to Tiverton. You got to drive to Rhode Island. That's a beautiful facility, by the way. I love their model. The rink is enormous, which is awesome. I don't know if our ladies were expecting that, but it was still that's a great tournament. I love the facility. I can't wait to go back. But my whole point to this is like if you're not using something, if you're not utilizing it, then people lose it. And we all know ball hockey, it's, with Casey, I can't speak for him. I can't speak for these rinks that close, but I think you need to have a Tiverton model in order to be if you're looking to make money and be successful in a business anyway. So, but what you guys are doing are different. So sorry, there's my rant for the night for you guys because I've seen it here in Massachusetts. Right now we have a women's program that's playing out of Hockeytown, and everybody dumps on Hockeytown because it is kind of messy in there. They don't put any money into their deck rink. What it is, Kate, too, Alexis, you haven't been there, have you?
Yeah.
Have you been to that rink?
Mhm.
Okay. So what it is, Kate, it's two ice hockey rinks, and then literally above the top of these ice rinks is a ball hockey rink inside.
Oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, it's pretty cool. So when I go in there, I'm like, man, I love playing inside sometimes because in my humble mind, street hockey should be played outside. I love playing outside. I think it's an homage to the game. But playing indoors, I'm like, this is kind of fun. You have to worry about the winds and all that stuff. But I was telling someone, even though it's not an attractive place to say the least, um, we're fortunate that it's there and that we can play there in the wintertime right now. So, um, like I said, it's if you're trying to make money, sometimes, as you guys know, ball hockey, can I say it? You need more of a need for it. And so anyway, that's my diatribe on rinks. But with you guys, where so just tell us a little bit about where you are in this process then, and then we can kind of dive into this process. And Alexis had some questions around this. So
You can take it, Kate.
Sure. Thanks. So right now we are in the process of building a presentation for, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
We're for the Board of Supervisors. My daughter Natalie and her friend Lily Walter will be presenting in front of the full board.
wow.
Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Oh, I think now it cut out.
Now it cut
Kate,
out.
I can't hear you at all.
We're gonna-
I'm going to tell you a little bit
Kids
about
in the
where
area
we're
want
at.
to keep it.
Oh,
Am I on mute?
You're
it
on
came
mute.
back.
It came back.
Oh gosh, sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe I should have taken the call at home. I apologize.
No worries.
So I don't know what you heard and what you missed, but
Sounds like your daughter is getting ready to present with a friend. That's what we've
with a
heard.
friend.
Yeah.
Correct. So the girls on their own volition, we didn't put them up to anything, but when they found out that the rink was at risk, they stood up to speak in front of the recreation committee that day that we played pickup first. And they just poured out their hearts and said why it was so important to keep this rink and what it meant to them, what it meant to their friends and their teams, and all the friendships they've forged there, and getting better as a team and as an individual, and all the things even beyond hockey that it meant to them to have that space. And I think the township manager and the members of the recreation board were so inspired that they wanted the kids to come back, and not only to keep the rink, that they did vote to keep the rink as a hockey facility, but they wanted the kids to come up with some ideas to dream big and to make it safer and better for the community, which is amazing. The girls were so excited. We were so excited to support them in that. And so they've been working hard on bringing together, I guess, the why behind each of the things they want to do to make it better, and what specific changes they'd like to make. I know when they said dream big, the township may not have known who exactly they were dealing with, because the kids are like, well, we want it to be ice hockey in the winter and deck hockey the rest of the year. And, they're dreaming about everything that we've seen at these travel facilities in over the bridge in Jersey, that they have really beautiful boards and the beautiful tiles. And I mean, the bathroom, the snack stand, the kids could give you the whole list, the fancy scoreboard, everything. So they are dreaming very big, and now they need to kind of, I guess, back up their story of why it's that important, and see what we can do to hopefully sway some board members to love hockey a little bit.
Awesome. This is right up our alley. I love the creativity. And that's how our team came together. And our team is obviously grown people, but we always had that mindset to think big and never settled less than perfection is what we were going for. Of course, the rink's not perfect in some ways. To me, it's not in certain ways. We've learned a curve, but I really like that. So can you tell me a little bit about this board? How many are on this? Does the rec committee, do they make programs? How does this work? If you know.
So the rec committee meeting that we went to with torches and pitchforks, it's 5 volunteers. And those 5 volunteers will hold these meetings to recommend to the Board of Supervisors, which I also believe is a board of 5, what the spaces should be used for. So just like we said, someone said they wanted activities for, older people in the community. So they proposed pickleball. And they said, when we came and said, hey, we really do use this rink, we promise, like, please don't take it away. We didn't know we had to ask for it because it was here. They just started asking, well, how many times a week do you think you play there? And to me, it's kind of a, not an accurate answer, because if it was nicer, I'd play there 3 or 4 times a week. I currently drive an hour to an hour and a half to play hockey, 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week, whatever I can sneak away for. There's a lot of hockey programs in the area that would play there, and people, like Kate said, that didn't know they wanted to play, but if we had an area, they could. So the rec board's been very, very supportive. They've agreed that they definitely need to make the court safe. So they've been reaching out to some of the same vendors that we've been talking to say, hey, how much would this cost to make this, a tiled facility? Or, I don't know if they've gotten quotes for boards yet, but we certainly have. But board of 5, and then they make the recommendation to their supervisors, who will decide what to do and what to spend, if they spend anything.
Is there an agreement that you guys would potentially raise money to fix this area up? Or
We're
not?
hoping to.
Hoping to.
I think that would come at the next meeting.
Okay.
But we're trying to prepare, and the township manager, after the last meeting, did give us direct contacts of people that, were texting back and forth with him saying, I'm definitely interested in helping, sponsor this in some way. So we haven't hit any big guns yet, but there's definitely people interested in sponsoring. And I think that's kind of where we're at, talking to people who've done this and say, well, what's the best way to go about this? Do we create a business or a nonprofit? Do we go through another nonprofit that's already in existence that has some clout that we could get big sponsors from? We're just trying to ask those questions and find the best way.
So for you guys and Kate, Alexis, like I said, had emailed me some of these questions, and I looked them over, and I'm like, yeah, this is right up our area, right up our alley. So our situation was a little different from you guys. You guys have a situation where you have, by the way, one last question. How big is this area? How big is the actual rink?
Oh,
If you know.
165 by 65, but there is
Oh wow,
space on the outside. I think that
to go
it's
bigger.
close to 190 by 75. I've done all the math. I've got them all drawn up.
You got it all drawn up. Perfect.
Yeah, it's
So
a
I
little
mean,
bit small, but it's usable.
so 165 is the length though, right? So you are, I mean, you're already there. Our rink is 160 by 80. So you've already got the length. That's just the width, maybe. If you want to, like I said, if you want to go by the USA ball hockey model, the 160 by 80.
Yeah, we really like 180 by 80, but I like to run, so that's a
Right.
personal
That's right. That's fair point.
Same.
personal request.
Fair point. So what our situation is a little bit unique. So Kate, Alexis knows a little bit of the story, but Young Legends is actually 20 years old. But it started off on a basketball court, literally street hockey with grass around the edges of the basketball court. And the city of Gloucester owns this particular spot. And what we did is as the program aged and got older, we had to revamp our program. And because do you want to stay the status quo of playing on a basketball court for the rest of your existence? And we're in it for the long term. We want our organization to be prominent, and you need a rink. You need to get to that level. Well, it took us into the world of ball hockey, and we realized that again, you you find out that the world is far bigger than you ever thought it was, because a bunch of ice hockey guys like, oh wow, there's national teams, there's travel teams, there's just you guys know how it goes. And what we did is in 2018 we officially became a nonprofit, which why we went to a nonprofit was this. My brother and I, my brother Danny, who's part of the podcast and our vice president of Young Legends, he said to me, I said, Danny, do you want to make this an LLC, a limited liability corporation, where, if I can say this, the Leominster is a for-profit business. Fitchburg Street Hockey is a non-profit organization. I don't know what Eddie's organization down in Swansea is. And my brother said, I think we should stick with being a nonprofit because we can raise money for the nonprofit to do these projects. And it was, so that's why we agreed to stay as a nonprofit organization, is because we could raise money in the name of the nonprofit organization. That's a decision that you guys can discuss. Do you guys want to be your own entity? Do you want to be your own program with a name that you put into it, and potentially be a nonprofit and go to try to get either public funding or private donations, etc.? My assumption is if you do all this work, raise all this money, the town is still going to utilize it as its own,
Right.
right? In that case, I can give you a little bit of insight into what we went through. So Young Legends, we basically right now we raised all the money for it, and I can talk to you guys about that in a second. What we ended up doing is we decided that we would gift the rink to the city of Gloucester since it was their property. Now, there are situations that if you guys raise the money privately in name of your nonprofit, you don't use public funding, you take that money and you buy the boards and the surface with it, technically you can tell the city, that's your land, great, but we own the boards and the surface. So if you try to kick us out again, we're going to take this stuff with us wherever we go. Does that make sense? And there's
Yes.
sometimes a situation, now that could be more, like I said, it all depends on what you guys want to do. That's how Fitchburg is. Fitchburg Street Hockey is a organization that's a nonprofit. They own the boards and the surface. And if the city says you have to leave, they take that stuff with them. That's theirs. The city might not agree with that. The city might not agree with that, but that's sort of the area of when you're utilizing a public place. Does that make sense? Does that help at all with
It
somebody?
does, yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked to Chuck about this because I believe that Lancaster was the same way. During COVID, Lancaster was the only place to play because it was outdoors and they figured it's safe enough to be outdoors if we want to play. It was in a public park where they had to take down the basketball nets because they didn't want kids playing because they had the mandates that you couldn't be in parks and things like that. But Lancaster operated as a business or nonprofit, I'm not sure which, because they owned the rink and it was on the park, the
Yeah.
park's land, but they owned the rink. And Chuck said he's gotten very good cooperation, I'll call it, from the township. Like, it's a public use facility, but I mean, he's the one that's taken initiative to go there and fix it up. I mean, he said he literally drove by just to see what condition it was in, and he saw that it was so bad, so he started painting boards. He's
Yeah.
poured his heart into this rink. So the township recognizes that and recognizes that he's willing to put his time and energy into it. So if he wants to say, hey, I want to have a league here on Sundays, they'll tell anyone, this is his
Sure.
time. He's using it. It's not open for the public to use during these hours.
Got it. Got it. When is this hearing again or meeting? Sorry, I don't know what the term.
March
March
7th.
7th.
March 7th, so it's coming up. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is something that you guys might want to look into. I think it's national program is what we used in Massachusetts is we kind of did something very similar to you guys. It's kind of we're working parallel paths right now. It's weird being on this side. I'm so used to being on your side, by the way. I'm so used
We're
to it.
grateful for you.
I'm so used to it. Our team has been on this road. Is the first thing we ever did was give a presentation in front of our city council because we had no idea where to start. We had a wonderful relationship with the DPW. To this day, our relationship with our Department of Public Works is excellent. They're the greatest people in the world. And sometimes they look for us to give them guidance on, like, for example, the surface, because if anything happens to the boards, that's when they have to help. But the surface is kind of our baby. Well, I would say it's more my baby than anything. But
it's precious.
It's precious to me. Because I think the surface makes the game.
Yes,
I
absolutely. I agree. I
um
hate playing on concrete.
yeah, I played enough on asphalt to say, yeah, this is not as
Yeah.
enjoyable, or concrete for that matter. So anyway, when we gave a presentation to the city council, they were like, we did something a little bit different. We took away a basketball court. But the basketball court where it is, and if you ever come to Gloucester, which I hope you guys do someday, it's very windy in this location. So it wasn't really designed for basketball because, and we did do our due diligence. We had conversations with the basketball community and saying, hey, listen, we don't see a lot of people using this, but us, is there a particular reason? And the reason was it's too windy. The ball doesn't stay true. Kind of like in ball hockey, the ball doesn't stay true as always. So we did our diligence to say, listen, when we went to city council, we said, if you guys want to keep this as a basketball court, we can add basketball hoops into the design. And city council said, no, if you want it to be a rink, just make it a rink. And there were multiple meetings down the road to create a contingency plan. And actually, we're currently working on potentially putting in a small little basketball hoop for the area there. I don't know when that will be done, but that's actually been started, the conversation with because the building that's on right next to our rink is actually a school for special needs kids. And we kind of took away their basketball hoop. So we have a kind of a contingency plan to put something up if the DPW agrees. But anyway, long story short, in that meeting, one of the city councilors stood up and said, listen, you guys can go for what they call a Community Preservation Act grant, a CPA grant. And I can always send this to you guys. What a CPA grant is, it allows money to go to a fixing up of a recreation place. Sometimes it goes to housing, historical buildings. Gloucester is huge with historical buildings. We have a bunch of different places. So we were awarded $100,000 of public money to go towards the rink. And when we wrote the grant, I specifically said it's going to go to the surface and to the boards. So we got 100,000, 75 went to the boards, 25,000 went to the surface or the tile, however you want to describe it. And that was our original starting point for you guys. So that might be something, the state of Pennsylvania might have something that's similar to that. Your representatives will have other access to money as well, such as like this, there could be a park, PAR, let me just say park grant, that you can put money into a park. There might be funds available. The question again is like you said, you're doing this for the public, you can utilize public money. You might get protective of what you build though, right?
Understood.
Yeah. So that's a good place to start. We were very fortunate to get a private donor as well that put in $250,000 for the surface, for the rink, excuse me. And that was huge
Great.
for us. And then you guys mentioned the Flyers. The Bruins gave us 100,000 to put towards this rink. What I will say is, if you ever use public money, sorry, I'm laughing. When you're using taxpayers' money, the expectation is it should be a pretty good place. It should be a pretty good place. That's my motto. You want to make it the best for them as well. And the public is not happy with. I'm just going to say me right now, because we have not opened the rink to the public yet, and it's mostly because there's no signage on the rink, and there's nothing to protect the rink at this time. But it will be open for people to enjoy in the very near future. So that's cool. But does that help guys a little bit on raising money? And I think the Flyers is an excellent, or Pittsburgh's a little far, right, Alexis? Because that's the other
I don't
side.
know if the Penguins would come all the way
I don't
out
think they would
here,
go out there, right?
although, yeah, in Lancaster where I am, it's surprising. We're only about an hour and a half at most from Philadelphia. Lancaster's about 4 from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We have more Capitals and Pittsburgh fans in Lancaster than we do Flyers fans.
Interesting.
I'm like the outcast. And I came from, 45 minutes from Philly. You go to the Flyers games a couple times a year as a kid. I
Yeah.
moved to Lancaster an hour away. I'm like, Pittsburgh, Capitals, what are you guys doing? But
how
yeah.
about the Hershey Bears? They're not too far.
They're not too far, and there's the Reading Royals, and there's the Allentown Phantoms. There's plenty of ice hockey programs around. That Kate and I have just been talking today about that. We have some friends and family that played, ice hockey for local programs like Newman and Westchester and Arcadia. One of them being Becky Dobson and my sister as well. They both are on Team USA. I mean, Becky's been on Team USA almost 10 years, but they were both Westchester alumni. Becky was converted from ice hockey to ball hockey. My sister was converted from ball hockey to ice hockey. So, I mean, it's a really fluid game that we just want to promote. And I think that there's a lot of benefit that if people were to invest, there's such a deep interest and there's numbers that we can show. People do play ball hockey in our area. If there was more availability, we would get more people.
That right there might be a huge selling point to these teams specifically. One thing that I can share with you is the advantage of our location of where we're at. One of the things that the Bruins Foundation wanted to do is they wanted to create more of an outreach to a place that's 33 miles away. And they felt like they didn't have a lot of an outreach program in that area. That's why they were like, when you go to our rink, you'll see the B right in the center of the rink. And like I said, usually if I had my iPad and I was on it, you'd see it behind me, but it's for another day. My wife was like, I don't like I told you guys this before. I don't like how I come in and out of the screen. So there's this big initiative, and Alexis, you've heard it through USA Ball Hockey, through UWs, grow the game initiatives, start the grassroots programs. And, I think the NHL is coming on board with that. I think that's why the Bruins looked at us that way, as this is a grassroots program trying to get more kids in the game. So I think that could be a selling point for you guys to bring it to bring that to the table. I really do. I'm excited for you more than anything. I really am. I think you got a great starting point here. That Alexis just sent me a picture through the chat.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a good sized place. This looks good. Really.
Yeah. Even if they only made it 5 feet wider, because there is a slope on the left end there,
Okay.
so you can't build that way. The parking lots are very close on 2 of the sides, and there is a playground with a little, hill rolling down to the rink. But even if it was extended 5 feet, repaved, and proper boards put in, I mean, that's $150,000 to $200,000 investment that tile can be added later. You know what I mean? Like if we
Absolutely.
just get something in there structurally sound that we can say, yes, we can advertise a league here. We can host pickup here. If it's a nicer facility, people will come, and it could be, a source of income for the community. I mean, we're completely open to any ideas. We just wanted to keep this rink for pickup, just for access for people to play. we are totally not sure where the wind's going to blow us, but
Yeah,
it's been an incredible opportunity to say, hey, maybe we can make a difference and actually make this better instead of just saving it and keeping it in the condition it is. Maybe we can actually make this a place where, you know, no offense to this rink, I love New Hanover Township, but this is last on my list because I do have indoor league time and I do have ice time. But if this was a nicer facility, you know, it's half the drive as some of the other leagues I play in. And if I can get women into the game and have a women's league right there, it'd be a pleasure to play there. Just needs a little bit of help.
absolutely. I think you guys, I think you're nailing it on the head right now. I mean, Kate, for you, I mean, is there a plan to create a nonprofit or not necessarily yet?
I think all the pieces are moving so fast right now. We're trying to get a handle on what's possible and what makes the most sense. We do need to either approach that or see if there's a partner or something, I think, to make it accessible. I guess some of the girls' posts have gone almost viral on a couple of local hockey fan pages. So people are saying, hey, how can we support? How can we support? I'd
Awesome.
love to give people an avenue to do that for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a place guys. I don't know if you know Massachusetts that well, but probably in your history classes you've heard of Salem, Massachusetts, where they had the witch trials. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been there, but um Salem is a very interesting place and they actually have a rink in Salem, Mass. You wouldn't know about it because what they did is they took a basketball court and they basically put boards around the basketball court, and then they put tile over it so you can play both street and basketball in it. The problem is there aren't any fencing, so it's perfect for 3-on-3 because it's only about 100 feet by about maybe 60. I'm not sure, but when I showed the city of Gloucester pictures, it's like, yeah, please don't do that. They didn't like that concept. And I told them, I said, if you're gonna do a rink like this, you want it to be, you want fencing, you don't want balls to be flying out. But the reason why I also share this is that rink, I don't think gets a lot of uses because there's no organization to utilize it. You know what I mean? There's no organization that's taken ownership of it and like running programs out of there.
Right.
And we've been there. We brought our kids there. So it's been it's been a it's been a journey. And like I said, it is a nice rink. We took some of their ideas, by the way. We specifically like their boards the best. But so vendors, have you guys looked at different vendors? Who's responsible
Yeah.
for?
Well, there's a couple different ways that can happen, right? Like you can say, all right, if we can get $100,000 grant from the Flyers, that could cover a surface and installation of that surface and maybe a couple extra things, but that might come in 2 years. We could get the Flyers $100,000 and have that be halfway to nice boards or be full done with not the dasher boards, those pro wall boards,
Oh,
the
well, well,
plastic
yep,
ones. I'm sure you've talked to all the same vendors.
yep.
So
A small
we're
group.
just kind of in this, yeah, we're kind of in this spot where it's like, okay, we need to decide what we can be to get the money and then what we can build with that money. And then where can we go to finish building with private funds or sponsors? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's really the conversations that we're having this week and going to go to the township about because Chuck's experience is that the Flyers can provide unionized workers that they have, but their money might not go as far. I mean, we might be able to find a construction company that's local that would be willing to sponsor and say, hey, if they have the equipment, we'll do it for cost of materials plus whatever, maybe a foreman, and they bring a couple extra laborers or have volunteers help them as long as they're insured, or you know what I mean? I
You
think
are
the
absolutely right, Alexis.
creativity for this is going to be key because like you said, we don't want to just make something good enough. We want to make it a place that is successful and long lasting and that people will want to play at. Especially when you talk about having new people jumping in for pickup and stuff. I mean, going to a concrete rink isn't my idea of a good time. For someone new that doesn't know hockey, with the ball rolling out and the huge crack in the middle that you could
All
fit
been
your
there.
whole foot in sideways. Like we want it to be an attractive facility and a safe facility and an official facility, so that if someone does grow up in this program, or I mean, whatever happens with any kind of program, we want people to be able to have the full experience of, this is what you'd experience at the highest level. This is a legitimate sport. And we want to promote that this is a professional, legitimate sport.
Absolutely. And I mean, any advice that I could give you guys is, break the project down into steps or phases, right? Because that's what we did. Phase one would be just getting the site work. We needed a boatload of site work, which added a tremendous amount of money. To your point, though, Alexis, our contractor that we had was a city contractor. His kids played in Young Legends. He knew of us. He donated $50,000 worth of work. He did a phenomenal job. I can't say this enough. Actually, in a couple weeks, there's a podcast where I talk about the second phase of, not second phase, but I talk about finishing up the rink, and he's a big part of that. But break it down. Like in my mindset, I always told our team, I'm like, let's just get the site work done, the boards and the surface, then we're functional, right? So
Right.
that was ideal. And then the lights just went on the other day. Actually, we got to pay a lot of money to get the electrical done, but the lights are paid off. We did that through that CPA grant that I told you guys about. And the city wanted the most expensive lights, which was perfect for us because that's what we wanted. And the company that we used was a company called Musco. They're very, very popular. They're all over the country, Musco Lighting. And I can always send you guys this offline too.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
But like I said, just try to break it down in phases. And like you just kind of said, Alexis, and these donors. My brother and I used to always say, the Grand Slams, the Grand Slam donors are the people that are going to give you more than 100 grand. And then there's sorry for this baseball analogy, but the base hitters are more like that 5 to 10,000, and the home runs, maybe that's 50 to 100. You break it down into what you're looking for and go from there. We were fortunate to get some really big donors, and then we basically got smaller donations that kind of just helped so much. I can't stress that enough. So, um, were there any other questions or other points? I know we're getting close to it for you guys. So, was there any other topics that you wanted to cover?
Well, with this project, it's kind of been thrust upon us, right? Like we said, we want to keep this rink, and now that they've kept it, they've given us an opportunity to make it better.
Yeah, right.
And I'm so involved in so many things with hockey that it's like, oh boy, now we've got another project. Like, what are we gonna do? So, I think for us, it's just having these conversations and talking to people like you and Chuck, and we have a conversation with Alessandra and someone else from the board on UWs tomorrow. We've got a conversation with Empower Play set up next week. They
Okay,
help
perfect.
fundraise.
Yeah.
So it's just all these conversations to say, what can we do now? What can we take to the township on March 7th? Do we have to have a nonprofit set up so that we can just start hammering at sponsors to see if we can get them to help with the site work, and just start there and say, hey, we do this site work, please, will you let us expand and do it right? Because any donation that comes from the flyers of the township, it's going to end with that donation. If the boards are put in and there's not enough footers, or there's no poles for lighting, that's going to come out of someone's pocket, right? Like, who can
Absolutely.
afford to do this? I'm
Absolutely.
not taking on this project, to dump money into a rink right now. I just started a side business with my husband with an Airbnb. Like, this was
Beautiful.
just an opportunity that we're like, we gotta save this rink. And now it's like, all right, put up or shut up. Do you
Absolutely.
really want to grow hockey in our area? Well, figure it out. So
Absolutely.
we're just here trying to figure it out.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I think you guys are in actually a good place. I think where the advantage is from where you guys are versus what we have, the advantage that you have is you actually have a structure in place. I think expanding it, like you said, there's a slope that might take some extra cash, but for the most part, I mean, I think at least you've got the distance. Although Alexa sounds like she loves running on 185, which is fine, right? But what I was didn't articulate very well is this idea that things can come in steps. Now, what I didn't know, the mistakes I've made were I didn't know that when the site work was being done, I didn't know that the light bases had to go in. I didn't know that the conduit that runs around where they put the electrical wire, I didn't know that that had to go in. I didn't budget personally, I didn't budget that particular part of the phase. So when when that happened, it was like, uh-oh, we've got to buy, we got to come up with $8,500 right now to buy these bases. And fortunately we did. We had, we had money to do that. So to be honest with you guys, I'm pretty excited for you guys. And like I said, I've been in your shoes. I have. I feel like some of the things that you're talking about, I've walked it, and not just me, our whole team, we've walked it together. And I think over the next couple of weeks, just try to get what you guys want this to be. Even like Kate, like your daughter said, snack shacks, or put it all in there. Put it all in there, and just to think big, and start there, and then the easy the easy part, guys, for me is designing the rink, knowing what boards you want, knowing the surface you want, knowing the lights you want, the scoreboard. For me, the hardest part was finding the funds, but
Of course.
it came with time, and I can tell you can do it. Just be persistent. I think if you got someone like Chuck, who I haven't met yet, they never will, sorry, but if you get someone on your side, that helps that helps a lot. Especially our city gave us total self autonomy. They were like, whatever you want to do, just know that you got to fundraise for it. And we did, but you know what I mean? So they weren't they're too our DPW is way too busy anyway. They've got way too much to do. So but
All that snow.
oh, that snow, yeah, snow. We haven't got much snow this year. We haven't got much snow. We've been having pickup, right now we've been running pickup because I asked the city, I'm like, do you mind if we play pickup on there? And he's like, the DPW was like, yeah, as long as there's no snow, because that causes liability and things like that. And
Right.
that's another thing that we can definitely talk about offline at some point, is liability and what
Yeah.
that for the city and stuff like this. But so I know, Alexis, you got to go. Kate, you probably have to run. Any other things you guys want to share with us?
No, I mean, we're just excited to see where this thing can grow. I mean, really not even go, just grow. Because we know it's already grown legs.
Absolutely.
So
Moving fast.
we're not millionaires. We're just doing what we can, and we're just hoping that we can make it work and make a place that, we didn't really have growing up, and some people might really get some satisfaction out of. We talk about community. When we first went to the first township meeting, we got some not so friendly responses from the chairman saying, well, don't you have hockey out by Lancaster? And I'm like, no, the last rink that was in existence closed after 40 years. I'm traveling to your community to try to give
But
back something that I didn't have as a kid to the kids that I love that are here. My friends' kids, the kids that I coached, they live in your community. So I'm trying to come here and do good things for them and make opportunities for kids that, I didn't have and really wanted. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That was my thing. I mean, giving back to the game that had given me so much, of course, was ice hockey, but I can relate to that absolutely. And there's always going to be the naysayers anyway. You guys get mental toughness anyway, for sure. So,
Yeah.
Kate, I've got one question. What team did you play for when you came up to Tiverton?
I was playing with Side Hustle.
Side Hustle. So that's
My
Alexis'
team.
team. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Was that B division or
It was BC split. So I
BC
think you
split?
guys
Yeah.
won the C, right?
We were in the
Yeah. So
C.
I try
Yeah.
to, yeah, I
I
try
think
to
you're
get
the
a lot
one
of
team,
uh-huh.
the one team we didn't get to play. I think the way things matched up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah,
had
I try to bring a lot of the U16 girls into the B division, just to get them, from my perspective, a way to meet people, to keep going, once they age out of U16, where they're going to go. When I started hockey, I had my sister, so she just said, all right, my sister's playing with us. No one really got a chance to say, but she sucks. So for the girls that don't have friends in the adult community yet, you know, playing with a mix of people like Kate and some of our local hockey moms,
It's
other
awesome.
people that I know from other teams that, their team might not have come because it's a farther drive or a flight from DC or Pittsburgh. So I just try to put together what I can to just keep people playing and meeting each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so are you guys coming, Kate, are you coming back for Tiverton in the spring?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Looking
So
forward to it.
I'll meet you guys. I'll meet you in person there for sure. I'll
That's
meet you there.
great. I can't wait.
Come over and say hello. So I'm I'm really excited about I one of our board of directors when we built this rink. I was playing NBHL Boston on Tuesday night. He was playing on our team, and he came up to me and I said, he goes, "What's going on with the women's division in our program?" And I said, I said, "Well, it's starting next week, and it's starting next Tuesday." And he goes, "I'm going to tell you something, Kyle, right now. That's going to be our biggest program. It's the women's division. There's a lot of moms out there." And I'm like, "Sure, Anthony." And it blew up to 60 players from we had a summer division, then we had a fall division, and the credit is really to them and my wife. I mean, the amount of communication that women do is far better than guys. I can always say this. And now we're going to Nashville in 2 weeks. We're going to Tiverton for Springfest, and then I don't know we're going to hopefully have some tournaments in Gloucester too, so I don't have to drive as far. But
Awesome.
my wife loves it. She's playing NBHL and she's thrilled. And like I said, I think you guys are, thank you, Alexis, for doing all that. And just a shout out to you. What did ISBHF give you? Want to nominate? So
They gave me a volunteer of the year award.
congratulations. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done. I did see
Very
that.
humbling.
So
There's lots
Well
of people in ball
deserved.
hockey that do a lot more than I do, I feel like. So that
yeah.
was very humbling.
So absolutely. I mean, so congratulations. That shows a lot. So I know Alexis has got to run. Kate, I wish you guys the best of luck. March 7th is the next hearing.
Wait, when?
Yes.
Uh, March.
I
Sorry.
love it. I love it. I love
All
it.
those.
Yeah.
You guys have a little twang in your accent too down there. But yeah. So we'll definitely keep in touch. Maybe we meet again on the podcast. See what happened, what the meeting was like, if you guys want to, and I'll do whatever I can to help you guys. I hope you know that, and my
We
wife.
appreciate it.
I mean,
Thank you so
we'll
much,
stay in
Kyle.
touch. I'll give you what we need, what we have too, and and also thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. It's great talking to, I love this story. I can't stress this enough. I've been in your shoes, been there.
Yeah.
We're all in it together. You're not alone in this. So, what I will do, Alexis, I'll share that picture that you sent me on the Street Hockey Life Facebook page and stuff like that, and we'll go from there. But any last thoughts, ladies? This is really about you, not me. So,
Just thank you.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Great to meet
Thank
you.
you so much. We're excited to help grow the game. Everybody gets started somewhere, and we'd love to help some kids and even some moms and other adults
Absolutely.
find some hockey to love. So thanks.
Yeah, the moms are out there. I mean, I can't wait. Erin will complain to you guys about this offline, but we're trying to get more of our Gloucester women to go to these tournaments. But people's lives get busy,
Yes.
right? So we'd love to have
Moms
more.
get busy.
Moms get busy and they're in rinks. And but one thing coaching women, we got a UW's clinic coming up. I'm really excited about it because I get to just be there and observe and help. It's amazing how many questions women ask, and it's just it's enjoyable. Guys keep to ourselves. We don't want to admit when we don't know something, right?
Right.
Pains in the
And
ass.
that's the thing with women's hockey. We've been so fortunate to have people like, Matt Fair, Jake Denny, Angela Tirana, like all these people and local players, willing to sit there with us and say, has anyone taught you how to hold a stick?
Yeah.
Has anyone taught you how to take a slap shot? Those are things that I played for years with good players. No one ever cared to invest their time in saying, it might be a little more fun if you knew how to do things a little bit better. So we've been very,
True
very
story.
fortunate for that. And we look forward to all the support from the men and the women coaches too.
Absolutely. I forgot to ask Kate, Alexis, if people are interested, they see this podcast and they're like, I'd like to help these individuals. Is there a way to get in touch with you guys, a way that's comfortable for the both of you as well?
Kate, your email?
Sure. We have an email address for our pickup group if anyone would want to reach out to us there. It's pickupstickshockey@gmail.com.
Okay. I can also add that into the promo of this video. So pick up sticks at
Mhm.
Gmail.
Hockey.
Pick up sticks
Pickupstickshockey
hockey
at gmail.com.
Got it. All right. Yeah, my memory's Getting worse. Sorry.
All of us, right?
Yeah. I think it's more of like just the amount of stuff that we all have to do nowadays. It's just we
Mm-hmm.
so, but again, thank you ladies so much. It's great chatting to you. I look forward to talking to you guys in the future. And like I said, if you need anything, don't be a stranger. And hopefully I'll see you guys at Tiverton. Time's flying. So oh, by the way, Alexis, what date is it?
April 27th weekend. No Friday games.
Okay, so Saturday and Sunday again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. One last story before I go. One of my favorite parts about Tiverton was my sister and I, we rented a house together, and one of our players stayed with us. One of the things that I've told our men's teams about is going to tournaments and the camaraderie that you guys know all about. And that Saturday night after the games, everybody came over to the house that we rented. We had a nice dinner. Not everybody came. Some people had other plans. You know how that works. But it was just, for me, it was very enjoyable, that social bonding, whatever you want to call it, camaraderie. And I've told some of our staff members about this, that, this is something I hope we do more of, whether it's at the youth level or at the adult level. I think it's going to continue for the women. They seem to enjoy it. But anyway, I think that's what's special about the ball hockey community is there's friendships. I'm starting
It's
to,
community, right?
yeah,
That's what it is. That's what it
Absolutely.
comes down to. Some people have their church, some people have bowling. We have ball hockey, you
oh,
know? Yeah.
that's right. That's right. And Kate, I met Alexis' husband at George. I didn't know George was Penn Hill at Arsenal. I've been following that for years now. Those big boy teams. So it was nice chatting with him. And I ended up buying a stick down there, which I broke a
Thank you.
few weeks later. I was not happy with myself.
Oh
No, it wasn't
no.
stick. It was me. I took my anger out on a net post, and so
Oh.
good stick though. But anyway, I could talk to you guys all night, so I'll zip it up. And
Thanks,
um,
Carl.
This was
my pleasure.
awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll do it again
Talk
sometime.
to
And
you
like I
guys
said,
soon.
don't be strangers. All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Till next
Thank
time,
you.
everybody. Good luck.
See ya.